ThousandEyes provides you with unparalleled visibility into network traffic and applications. With AWS Network Path Enrichment, you can now uncover additional details regarding connections into the AWS networks and the associated services. When ThousandEyes detects an IP address within a discovered AWS network, we can now visually identify the AWS services that are being used. In addition to identifying which AWS services are being used, ThousandEyes will now also show the AWS region that is being traversed to help you understand geographic routing and the locations an application is being served from. This information is now available within any ThousandEyes path visualization. Let's see it in action now. We're now in the ThousandEyes interface, and I have a test view pulled up here for a sample test showing some EC2 nodes. You can see we're mapping multiple metrics along the timeline, including loss and latency. If I scroll along, you'll see we reached the point where loss went up to 17.9%. We can now take a look in the path visualization to figure out more detail. You can see here I have my cloud agents on the left. The one in Sydney here was experiencing some packet loss, 57.8%. The destination is on the right. And you'll notice we've now identified that as an AWS EC2 node. You'll get the network and IP information, as well as the service, which is EC2, and the region, US East 1. This can help with geographic identification or to track regional routing. You'll also see the average response time of that node. Looking over to the left, we can see some of the nodes within the AWS network that were having problems. If I hover over one, you'll see we've detected the IP address belongs to the AWS network, and now we can identify the node as well as the region, US East 1. We're also seeing 100% forwarding loss here, which identifies where the problem is. Tracking the path back to the actual cloud agent, we can mark the place where the traffic left the public internet and then entered in AWS's network. This is that first node we've identified as being on the AWS network, and everything to the left of here would have been public internet or other transit providers. Now let's look at another example of the AWS Network Path Enrichment in action. We're now looking at a path visualization for a service that's using the AWS Global Accelerator, or AGA. Again, we have our cloud agents on the left-hand side, and you can get IP address and provider information, and our destination on the right, which is testing to the ThousandEyes site. You can see in between here, we have the AWS Global Accelerator. If I hover over, we've identified that this site is behind the AGA. You can see the IP address information, the network it belongs to, and also the different locations that are reporting this service. We get the region information, which is global in this case because of the load balancer, and then we get some response time information. You'll notice here we have an expected response time, which is what you should be getting, and then you see the actual response time. In this case, the expected response time was 2 milliseconds, but we're actually receiving 22 milliseconds. This is done using actual ThousandEyes testing, so we're getting accurate measures of the performance you're actually receiving rather than just what the expected was. If I want to view some additional information, you can see the View Details button, and this will give me the performance metrics for the individual POPs. You can see we have Spain, Ireland, and Estonia. You can then see the actual latency values for each location, and then the average between all of them. There's even a Copy to Clipboard button, which allows you to copy this data in a JSON format that can be shared with AWS support or other providers for further troubleshooting. And those are just a few ways that the AWS Network Path Enrichment can give you detailed insights into cloud service, location, and performance, all provided automatically now within ThousandEyes Path Visualization.